What do these two things have in common? Forget that one is probably the most recognizable sneaker brand in the world, and that the other is probably the most popular trading card game ever created.
So you was just gonna toss us?
No, I wasn't gonna toss you.
It sure looked like you was gonna toss us.
No. I wasn't gonna toss you. That was like a knee-jerk reaction, you know? I am Sean, and this is Pokegrown, where we talk all things Pokemon. What if I told you Pokemon cards have become the new Jordans? Not because they look alike, not even because they're made by the same company, but because they follow the exact same path. First came hype, then came scarcity, then resellers came in, and people will do just about some of the craziest things just to get them. Let's take a look at the Jordan phenomenon first. Now, back in the days, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, if you wanted a pair of the hottest new Jordans, there was a few things you knew you had to do if you were a collector or if you wore Jordans. You knew first you had to wake up early Saturday morning when they were being released and make your way out to the closest mall or the closest sneaker store. Then you had to wait in line, whether it was raining, whether it was snowing, or whether it was hot. You had to wait for the mall to open. Then once the mall opened, you had to make a break for the sneaker store and hope that you got there with time enough that they still had your size available. And if you were anywhere from like a size 7 to maybe like a 9.5, you were out of luck. You knew resellers was gonna come in and buy up those popular sizes. Now, the sad thing about all of this is once you went home disappointed and sad that you didn't get your pair, you would then go online and see that same shoe for double, triple, or almost quadruple the prices that they were selling in the store for. Now, why does that path sound so familiar? Because that's exactly what we see happening with Pokemon cards in 2026. Every major release sells out almost instantly. Shelves are wiped clean. People are lining up outside just to get their hands on these items. It's gotten so bad that many retail stores, such as Target or Walmart, for Target, you don't even see the cards actually stocked on the shelf anymore. They've moved them to the back where you have to request them. They've also added signs up to limit the amount that a person can purchase. All because we're seeing this exact same trend that we saw with the Jordan community. Now, the wildest part about this is that just as we saw with the Jordan community, it is no longer about buying and collecting the cards anymore. No, before when we used to buy the cards to put our deck together so we can battle, that's no longer the goal for many collectors. The goal is now beating the market, finding the next card that might explode in value and flipping it before anyone else does. And the craziest thing about this upturn is that the value of Pokemon cards have exploded so much that now they're starting to attract the attention of criminals in the same manner that used to be reserved for luxury watches, jewelry, or of course, sneakers. These are the Air Jordan Flint 13, originally released February 4th, 1998. I was in middle school when these sneakers. But what you trying to say? Yeah, I'm a what you trying to say? Man, I ain't trying to hear nothing you trying to say. I'm gonna get back to my video. I saw so many students chased home and beat up and robbed for these sneakers that I knew for a fact my mother wasn't gonna get me these. I mean, granted, she couldn't afford them at the time, but that's beyond the point. Now, you might say to yourself, well, Sean, you got a pair in your hand. How you got them? I got these when I was 30, okay? When I was able to buy them for myself. But as a fandom, we are accustomed to seeing that type of violence when it comes to Jordans. And if you don't believe me, you know what? Check this video out.
You will not believe all the reports of violence that broke out when people rushed to get the newest pair of Air Jordans. A crowd busted through this door in Indiana. And remember, as you're watching these pictures, this is all over shoes. A few people got trampled. Doors were ripped right off their hinges. The Air Jordan retro shoes just went on sale early Friday morning.
Since I was a kid, I've been, working hard just to come up here early in the morning just to wait in line to get these shoes. I was the first person out of everybody that was out here to get these right here.
How many pairs of Air Jordans do you have?
I have about 9 pair of Air Jordans, but it does not matter about those. It matters about these right here.
This was the scene in Kansas City where people were sprinting through the halls. But that's nothing compared to this mall in the Seattle area where people used pepper spray to break up a crowd that was pushing and shoving.
I got burnt, man. Look, it came all over my face. My mouth is on fire.
Look at it, you can see it.
My eye, look. I can't even, if I lick my lips, my mouth will burn.
It was just too hostile, too dangerous. So some pepper spray was used because that definitely gets people's attention.
Part of the problem is that each store has a limited amount of about 150 pairs, and each pair costs about $180, but they resell on eBay for almost $500. People in Georgia say one mom even left her 2- and 5-year-old children in her car while she went shopping. And officers arrested 3 other people for breaking down the mall door during all the chaos. A rep for Nike told USA Today that the company is concerned by the violence and urges everyone to be respectful and safe.
Now you see the turmoil and pandemonium over a pair of sneaker release. Pokemon cards couldn't possibly be garnering the same type of attention. Could it? Could it? Roll the tape.
Tonight, new video of thieves smashing through a collectible store window in Chicago. With security alarms blaring, you see them stuffing bags with what the store owner says is more than $100,000 in merchandise, rushing out in less than a minute. A main target, Pokemon cards.
They were just specific on what they took. They didn't just grab anything.
Trying to catch them all. Pokemon cards spike in value, inspiring similar smash and grabs. From New York to California, even overseas. One store owner in Florida says these flimsy cards are becoming hard assets.
You know, it's like buying gold. It's like buying silver.
The franchise capturing the hearts of a generation back in the late 90s.
To become a Pokemon master trainer.
Now paying off for those who stockpiled. Take a look at this Pikachu with the gray hat. Each one estimated to be worth $2,800. But that's chump change for social media influencer Logan Paul.
I spent $5.3 million on this Pikachu card.
He then flipped his investment after about 5 years, selling it for a record $16 million last month. The high price tags making these a growing target and keeping store owners on edge.
We have to spend a lot of money on security 24/7.
Back in Chicago, hitting this business hard.
Trying to figure out how I'm going to recover.
Chicago police say the suspects here fled the scene and the investigation is ongoing. Store owners left fixing their broken windows as card values keep breaking records.
As you can see, Pokemon cards' popularity and value have exploded. Now, what is satisfying about this that I will say is that if we go back in time, let's go back to 1998, early 2000s when, Jordans was at the peak at their popularity and Pokemon cards was just being introduced into Western civilization. The two communities didn't cross paths. Kids who wore Jordans to school did not play with Pokemon cards. And kids who played with Pokemon cards, chances are they didn't wear Jordans. See, Jordans was reserved for the cool kids. Like, I always knew who was going to have the newest pair of Jordans when they were released. And I had to admit, yeah, boy got aura. Boy, him. He's him. But I knew after school it was going to be me and my buddies. I was going to go to 24 Challenge Club, which is a math club. And then we was going to battle after club. And I was going to put my cards on the line and see if I could win me a quick little Charizard. I never did, but, that's beyond the point. The point is that the two communities, they didn't cross over. There were two different type of people who engaged in that activity. But fast forward today and, well, get what do? I collect Pokemon cards and I collect Jordans. But because of the popularity, because of the chance for financial gain, we see that there is a criminal element now being attracted to the community. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. We are talking about pieces of cardboard that are being treated like assets. And just like anything else in life, if something becomes valuable, criminal activity always follows. I read a news article that said that back in January of this year, a couple of robbers cased a Pokemon shop And when the owner was leaving the store, he had about $300,000 in cards in a briefcase. And they caught him, robbed him, and stole it from him. All because this guy was just going about his business. You see, nothing has changed as it relates to those who collect Pokemon cards. The same people who were a part of the community back in the 1998s are the same people who are in the community now. What has changed is the attention that the community now attracts. And if that sounds familiar, it's because that's exactly what the shoe market went through. A shoe is no longer just a shoe. A card is no longer just a card. Suddenly, it's an asset. And when it becomes an asset, that's when you see resellers start to come in. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against resellers. I get it. You have to make a living too. But you see, when resellers come in, then social media does what it does. Social media is the gasoline poured onto the fire. And eventually, people start treating these items like tangible money. And this might be a hot take. Honestly, I don't expect anyone to agree with me on this point. But I feel like as a community, we need to gatekeep. I feel like nerds as a whole, anime community, video game community, we need to gatekeep. And the reason why I say that is we were the kids chased home after school for liking anime, for Naruto running down the hall, for quoting Goku, for doing imaginary Kamehamehas, for having the Pikachu, for having the Charizard. It was not cool back then, but because it's cool now, everyone wants a piece of it. That's why I think we need to gatekeep. There are some people that do not deserve to be in the club, because when they come in the club, they mess it up for everybody else. Now, although there are all of these similarities between the communities of the Jordan collecting and the Pokemon collecting, there are still certain differences among the two. No matter how valuable a pair of Jordans is, eventually that collector wears them. For instance, these Jordans I've had for a number of years, but just the other day I was like, I don't understand why I have them just sitting on the shelf, and I eventually wore them. You see, that's what tends to happen in the Jordan community. You eventually wear that shoe, either because you like it or you want everybody to see that you have it. Pokemon cards, on the other hand, they do not follow the same trend. Pokemon cards are opened from a pack, placed into a sleeve, and then locked away for an X amount of years. In fact, let me show you something. I'm gonna show you my wall of fame. And this is not my most valuable cards, but these are some of my favorite cards. I'm gonna show you the state of them. As you can see, this is typically what happens with the average collector. You lock your cards away because you don't want any damage to come to them. And again, the irony of all of this is, this was originally a children's game. We would look forward to coming out after class and battling with our friends. One of my favorite cards is a Ninetales that I won in my first battle in the 8th grade. The first battle I ever won, I won a Ninetales that my friend had. I still have that card to this day. Not because it has any value, but because it meant something to me back then. But because now in 2026, there is financial gain to be had in Pokemon cards, it's no longer just looked at as a hobby. And that's why I believe Pokemon cards are the new Jordans in 2026. Both are fueled by nostalgia. Both are driven by scarcity, and both are dominated by resellers. Now, again, I don't have anything against you if you're a reseller. I get it. You gotta make a living too. But I just want you to remember this. The next time you go out to the store, the next time you grab all the boxes on the shelf, remember that there is an adult that was a kid back in the late 90s that did this as a way to find themselves in the world. They might not have had anything else, but Pokemon introduced them to a group of people that had a like-minded goal. They all shared something in common. They loved the show. They enjoyed watching Ash on his journey to be a Pokemon master. We all hated Gary because he was so cocky. And we all looked forward to the day when we had our own children and we wanted to share this hobby with them. So before you grab all of those boxes and don't leave none for them, just remember that there's someone out there who wants to pass this hobby down to their kids. But what do you think? Do you agree with me or you disagree with me? Do you believe that Pokemon Cards has become the new Jays in 2026? Let me know in the comment. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.